CTV News with Sean Irvine.
Good evening. A downtown London high-rise converted to a homeless shelter may be forced to close later this year. Funding for the House of Hope has been cut. Here's our City Hall reporter Daryl Newcomb with the full story.
House of Hope on Dundas Street will be forced to close this November after the provincial government decided not to fund the 48 supportive housing units.
We have met with everyone we could possibly meet with provincially, and sadly they've chosen not to continue funding.
London Cares had been seeking $1.37 million. 45 residents and 24 employees will be impacted by the pending closure to a location that provided wraparound supports to people who had previously been homeless.
These are people with trimorbidities, so physical health issues, mental health issues, and addiction issues. And through the time with us, they've been able to work on all of those pieces because we've wrapped all the care around them. Back
in February, London Cares revealed the impact House of Hope has made since opening in October 2023. After just a year and a half, a 97% drop in emergency department visits by its residents, as well as 84% fewer interactions with police.
So this is an exceptionally disappointing decision because what we know about House of Hope is that it works. It's helped people, it's producing great numbers, it's getting great value for money.
Jaw to the floor, because that just means that more people are going to be out on the street. We see decisions like this come again and again.
The terms of the lease require London Cares to give 6 months notice, hence the announcement now for a November closure. It also provides time to connect the residents with potentially other places to live. Councillor Ferreira wonders if last week's court ruling prohibiting the eviction of a homeless encampment in Kitchener because the residents have no other place to go might also be applied to House of Hope.
I'm no legal expert, but I do think that there's a direct applicability here when it comes to that Ontario Superior Court ruling.
A spokesperson for Ontario's Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Rob Flack, writes in a statement, quote, "This year we are investing over $21.8 million in the City of London through the Homelessness Prevention Program, an increase of 63% since 2022. Specific allocations of the provincial funding, such as the Homelessness Prevention Program, are made by the municipality, not the province, to ensure local needs are addressed."
We're continuing to create as many spaces as we possibly can in the city, and this is a really unfortunate step back.
We started this program because there was a gap. Closing this program would bring the gap back.
Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
A St. Thomas resident is dead tonight after two transports and a pickup collided in Brant County near the Oxford County border. The crash taking place in the westbound lanes of the 403 around 5 o'clock today. Police say another person was injured, but they have not said what vehicle the deceased driver was operating. A woman has been badly hurt after a dog attack in southeast London, prompting a warning to residents from police tonight. They say the woman suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries in a wooded area just north of Gladstone Avenue. According to investigators, there were 3 dogs on the loose, one of which has been caught by animal control. They're described as medium-sized Rottweilers, brown and black in color. A family's heartache was clear at the start of an inquest into the death of a man in custody in London today. CTV's Nick Paparella with the story.
Person jury at the coroner's inquest looking into the death of 29-year-old Drew Pearson heard that he was in police custody in late December of 2018 after being charged with arson in connection to a blaze at this St. Andrews Street boarding house. Arrested while staying at the men's mission, Pearson died from staphylococcal sepsis after being rushed to University Hospital. At the start of the proceedings, Pearson's sister Kelsey spoke on behalf of the family about how his once fulfilling life had spiraled out of control due to drugs, saying he could have had an amazing life. Unfortunately, around 20 years old, he developed a drug addiction, and then depression came along with that. She said the family tried their best to help, but until you're in that position, you don't realize how little help there is for people dealing with addiction and how vulnerable they really are. While in custody between London Police Headquarters, the cells at the London Courthouse, and the Elgin Middlesex Detention Centre, Pearson had complained about severe back pain. Before wrapping up, Kelsey said, "We realize this inquest is not to place blame. We blame our smart son for getting himself in that situation, and ourselves for thinking he was in a safe place. with people who would care for him while he was under their watch. In the days before his arrest, Pearson was taken to University Hospital by his mother due to the same back issues. Dr. Christine McDonald, an emergency room physician, examined him and ran a number of tests. She testified he had no fever. Blood work was normal. He looked well. I wasn't concerned about sepsis. I wouldn't have done anything differently. The inquest is expected to hear from a total of 10 witnesses and is slated to last 8 days. After that, the jury will make recommendations to prevent future similar incidents. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
A strike by 600 OPSU workers will impact at-risk residents in group homes and support programs. That from union officials following a day-long rally in London today. The workers staged a picket line outside Community Living London demanding higher wages and retroactive pay. They say their target, though, is not the employer, but the provincial government. Union leaders say the money provided to Community Living London is not enough to pay for similar pay raises for workers in other care sectors.
But it's not just about our wages and it's not just about our jobs. It's about the people that we support. They've been removed from their house, and some of the group homes, if they had 4 people living there, now today they have 6, 7, or 8 people living there. The people don't understand what's happening.
The person promoted to lead the Thames Valley District School Board is a long-term employee. Kevin Auckland was part of the trip to Toronto, which led to changes in leadership and controversy at the board. CTV's Brian Bicknell has an overview.
Were you on that trip?
Yes, I was on that trip. It was where our expectation for where we were to be for work at that time.
Kevin Auckland admits he was one of 18 Thames Valley District School Board administrators to attend a 3-day trip to Toronto, complete with Blue Jays games in 2024. The $40,000 retreat became public as the board faced a multi-million-dollar deficit. It led in part to the resignation of then Director of Education Mark Fisher and the school board being placed under provincial supervision.
Well, my leadership style is to lead with integrity and openness, and I will continue to do that. I know that as a board we need to rebuild public confidence, and I am committed to ensuring that that's what we do.
Auckland was announced last week as the Thames Valley Board's new Chief Executive Officer. Hired from within, Auckland has worked in education for 27 years, all with the Thames Valley Board. He takes over for Director of Education Bill Tucker, who came out of retirement to steer the board through financial fallout.
That trip was clearly inappropriate and led to a lot of changes. Kevin will have to answer those questions himself about how he rationalizes all of that.
OSSTF District 11 Thames Valley President John Bernan says Auckland has significant challenges ahead.
Kevin has an excellent reputation as an educator in Thames Valley, was educated within Thames Valley, but he still has to deal with a significant deficit that I don't believe the supervisor has been able to deal with.
The CEO appointment follows the Ministry of Education's removal of trustees from the school board.
They never went to the Rogers Centre, and yet they've been swept aside. Now this person who was at the Rogers Centre has been promoted and rewarded for being there. It doesn't make any sense from a good governance point of view.
Meantime, Auckland assumes his new position July 1st. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Strong words from Prime Minister Mark Carney over upcoming Alberta's referendum. He says the question posed by the province's premier is a dangerous bluff. Here's Rachel Aiello.
That is a very dangerous bluff.
A stark 6-word warning from Prime Minister Mark Carney for Alberta Premier Danielle Smith.
In these separation issues, it is often advanced that vote for this and it's a free option. Vote for this and we will strengthen our hand in a future negotiation. That is a very dangerous bluff.
Unprompted today, the Prime Minister drew on his experience as the Governor of the Bank of England during the Brexit crisis. When asked what he thinks of the referendum question Smith is putting to Albertans this fall.
I saw firsthand what happened in the United Kingdom when the view was vote for this, it'll be soft, and then we'll negotiate, etc. And they ended up, and they're still 10 years later trying to undo what people didn't think they were voting for, but what they ended up having.
Carney's words of caution about understanding the risk of using this referendum as a bargaining chip was met with pushback from Premier Smith, who has called it an exercise in democracy.
I'm just trying to get a gauge of where Albertans are at. I think that that's respectful of the process that 700,000 people went through in signing their petitions.
That sentiment echoed by the separatist Bloc Québécois.
Still up to Albertans to decide, and definitely not to another government to decide on what if the question should have been asked in the first place.
Conservatives said Carney's comments do nothing to address Albertans' concerns.
He has no right to wag his finger. That makes it worse.
As her province contemplates whether to vote to remain or pursue a path towards independence, Smith also said today she'll keep working with Carney towards a stronger Alberta within a united Canada. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, the fallout from a major fire in Grand Bend this weekend continues to be tallied. The blaze at a hardware store has left a hole in the beach community. CTV's Brent Lale has this story.
It was really dark black smoke. It was almost like it was tar burning.
Neighbor Ron Crown describes the massive blaze at Rona in Grand Bend.
My wife called and said we had to evacuate the area because of the toxic smoke from the fire.
Crown was one of several residents who were displaced for nearly 24 hours after fire ripped through the hardware store. Mayor Doug Cook was among them. He has a condo just steps from the Rona.
They're a staple in Grand Bend, so without them, it's going to be a big loss. People really relied on that store for everything they needed for the hardware business, so it's devastating.
At the fire's peak Friday afternoon, 6 stations responded. 4 from Lambton Shores, 1 from Exeter, another from Dashwood.
Upon arrival, firefighters found that the fire was located in the roof of the structure. The makeup or construction of the building hindered firefighters being able to get to the fire.
Following the fire, many locals were stopping by to look at the aftermath.
A lot of memories in the building, and it's the building's gone now, and yeah, it's a sad day.
We feel sorry for the people that work there, you know, and that's the unfortunate thing because we know them all.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
Well, still ahead on CTV News at 11, the future of science. A groundbreaking for the new Ontario Science Centre is held amid ongoing controversy over its location. Well, Canada's main stock index ended higher, led by basic materials sectors. In Toronto, the TSX gaining 360 points, while American markets were closed for the Memorial Day. Our Canadian dollar added a modest 0.02 of a cent, and gold and oil markets were off today, again because of Memorial Day in the United States. Well, the threat of fake images circulating during a major weather event was a reality last week in our region. Storm researchers at Western University confirmed plenty of pictures on social media were generated by artificial intelligence. CTV's Jerry Dewan has more.
Northern Tornadoes Project researchers continue to investigate the May 19th storms that moved through the London region. But project director Dave Sills has concerns about images of tornadoes that didn't happen.
We had 4 different images of tornadoes circulating during the event and after the event, and it just causes all kinds of problems.
Sills worries those posting the images don't fully appreciate the complications they're creating.
For Environment Canada, who's trying to issue tornado warnings in real time, if they see something like that and issue a tornado warning based on a false image of a tornado, that's a big problem.
Sills says we experienced a bow echo storm that generated 2 tornadoes and a downburst. The first significant event was an F-0 tornado that touched down near Melbourne around 5:30 in the afternoon. It tracked west for about 8 kilometers, snapping off and uprooting trees, and did some damage to a farm structure. There were no reported injuries from that event. Sills captured this image of the tornado that carried estimated wind speeds of 115 kilometers an hour.
After that, actually 2 simultaneous events. One was a 26 kilometer-long track of a tornado that was rated EF1. And at the same time that was happening, there was an EF1 downburst going across East London into the Dorchester area.
But AI images showed larger tornadoes in the city.
We found out where they were taken and what direction they were facing, and it was clear that there was no damage where they were looking, so there was no tornado there, right? The radar showed no rotation. It just wasn't happening.
Sills says if AI fakes continue to cause problems, it may require a stronger response.
It's basically the equivalent of yelling bomb in an airport, right? You can't do this.
Sills is hoping those online will be cautious before sharing images that may be fakes. Jerry DeWan, CTV News.
Well, the provincial government is going to court attempting to prevent the release of documents related to the blue license plate program, which has now been scrapped. Government lawyers have applied for a judicial review on decisions by Ontario's Information and Privacy Commissioner ordering the province to release documents in response to a Freedom of Information request by the Canadian press. The blue license plates were rolled out in early 2020, but the province stopped issuing them shortly afterwards because of visibility issues. Government officials have provided no plan to get those plates that were issued off the road. Ontario's new science centre now under construction on the waterfront in Toronto amidst some controversy. CTV's Beth McDonald takes us to the construction site.
Shovels are in the ground by the waterfront. The new Ontario Science Centre is rising at Ontario Place.
At the heart of the new Ontario Place will be the new Ontario Science Centre.
Premier Doug Ford, along with members from the government, Science Centre Board and industry partners, all coming together for the groundbreaking ceremony.
The new state-of-the-art, fully accessible Science Centre, which is on track to open in 2029, will inspire the next generation of children and families with new and exciting programming in modern, light-filled spaces.
Highlights of the new centre include a 400,000 square foot building for immersive experiences, hands-on exhibits and educational workshops, renovated and enhanced pods to create science-themed experiences, and an upgraded Cinesphere with acoustic enhancements to the IMAX theatre, offering double the seating of the former space.
It's a moonscape. I mean, they're talking about 2029 now.
The NDP, meanwhile, says the announcement was an opportunity to try and change the channel on other issues the government is dealing with and doesn't speak to the priorities of the people around affordability.
You know, what we would like is to be able to go to the Ontario Science Centre right now. Why is it closed? Why has the government made this terrible decision? And we know that it was only ever about giving the government an excuse for their private therma spa.
The government's decision to relocate the Science Centre away from the Don Mills site 2 years ago has been controversial. Many claimed it was underfunded and fought to see it repaired, praising it for its unique architecture and ravine setting. Some argue now the centre is half the size and is more about generating tourism than education.
The cost so far will be $1.1 billion. $1.1 billion that I think most Ontarians believe that would be better spent on healthcare or education.
Save Ontario Science Centre is now focused on keeping and reimagining the former site. Back on the waterfront, the Ontario government says the new Science Centre will create more than 1,000 jobs and attract millions every year.
It's a vision that will make Sydney, Australia go, why didn't we do that? It's absolutely stunning. This is a proud day for all of us.
The start of its construction, another milestone as Ontario Place transforms. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Good evening, I'm Rita Ismail. It's a beautiful night out there. Great night to have the windows open. A nice light breeze out of the southwest. Our temperature is mild, around 14 degrees as we head into the night. We are under an area of high pressure, which means more sunshine is in store for your Tuesday and a bit of a warm up as well. Our temperatures climbing into the mid-20s, and then there'll be a bit of a cool down heading our way as well. I'll walk you through the entire forecast on the other side of this break.
Welcome back. Well, before the break, Rita, you were saying it's a perfect weather night. Indeed, I was outside. Just beautiful sunset. Perfect. Let's take a look at what's ahead. To you.
Sean, a great start to the work week. Mainly sunny skies throughout the day today. We actually hit a daytime high of 25 degrees, which means we sat above seasonal for today. 21 is where we're supposed to be. The record not quite there. 28 degrees is back in 1978. As we head into the night, beautiful overnight forecast for us. Clear, calm conditions, a nice light breeze out of the southwest, which means let that air into the home. And then tomorrow morning we'll wake up, lots of sunshine as we hold on to the high pressure that's in place. That pesky low pressure system that brought all that rainfall is well off to the east. The next chance for anything in the wave moisture won't arrive until Wednesday morning. It is a weak low pressure system. It will swing on through, and as of right now, it looks like most of that moisture will move through early in the morning on Wednesday, and then we'll break into more sunshine in the afternoon. Again, for your Tuesday, though, mainly sunny conditions tomorrow. Great day to be outdoors. We do have another system sitting stateside to the south of us. It is going to struggle to lift, so we won't see much in the wave moisture. However, we will see our temperatures start to climb. By middle of this week, we'll be near 28 degrees for the daytime high, so above seasonal midweek. And then as that system pushes through Wednesday and behind it, we'll see our temperatures start to cool down to near seasonal values by the weekend. So Tuesday, big story is we are going to warm up from 15 degrees first thing in the morning to 28. So unseasonably warm outdoors tomorrow. And then heading into Wednesday, the chance for a passing shower or two is certainly there, but early in the morning, and the probability sitting at the lower end right now. So 25 degrees Wednesday, and then we drop back down to 22 Thursday, but we do have a lot of sunshine in this forecast, so fingers crossed it holds for the weekend. It looks like a great weekend to get outdoors and garden because our temperature will be right around seasonal, 20 degrees, and then cooling with those north winds on Sunday. So pleasant, not overly warm this weekend. And then Monday, a week from today, we officially welcome June with a daytime high 21 degrees. Midwestern Ontario, similar conditions in store for you. 25 degrees tomorrow. Wall-to-wall sunshine pretty much Tuesday to Friday, with the exception of an early morning passing shower Wednesday. But again, it will move through in the early morning, and therefore your afternoon should be dry. Wednesday into Thursday, we do drop back down to seasonal values Saturday and Sunday, but right now, and it is still early, the weekend looks bright, beautiful with clear blue skies. Sean?
Thanks, Rita. Well, a Bruce County family now remembering their daughter 1 year after she was killed in a car crash alongside 3 teammates and their coach. With more on Rowan McLeod's lasting impact, here's our Scott Miller.
Whether it was dancing in the rain or hamming it up with her teammates, Rowan McLeod brought energy and joy to every room, arena, or sports field she entered.
Ro was a bundle of energy. She had our house was louder when she was in it. Yeah, she was just a lot of fun, goofy. She always had her tongue out and bugging people or hugging people.
She had a pretty infectious smile, and she could make anybody laugh with her too.
The 17-year-old McLeod was one of 4 Walkerton District Community School student athletes killed alongside their coach and teacher last May. They were all in the same vehicle that collided with a transport truck as they returned from a school softball tournament. This past Saturday marked the 1-year anniversary of the tragedy. McLeod, who grew up near Chesley, was very involved in her community, working as a summer camp leader in Walkerton while playing a multitude of sports: hockey, softball, rugby, and likely her favorite, broomball.
One of the things we realized about Ro is that she impacted everybody she came in contact with in ways we didn't even know. So people would tell us stories after, the way she would make them feel. People that she was friends with 5 or 6 years ago, they still loved and missed her.
In her memory, her family has started the Rowan McLeod Memorial Fund. Her parents say Rowan was an aspiring teacher, so they have focused their memorial donations toward local schools and youth sports teams.
We just really wanted her foundation or fund to be used for anything, anything that was for kids or made kids feel included or
would make her happy.
Would make her happy and proud of us.
McLeod's family is also planning to install a commemorative bench at Centennial Park in Walkerton to honor Rowan, a hot pink bench if possible, Rowan's favorite color. If nothing else, the McLeods want people to honor their daughter by simply being kind to each other.
Tell kids when they do good things, and not just point out when kids are doing bad things, or tell people that you love them and how much you like them and what they're doing really well, because like any teenager, I think she also wondered if people liked her, if she fit in, all of those things. So I think it's important we tell people how they are and what we think of them.
You can find stories about all 5 victims of last May's tragedy all together on our website. In Bruce County, Scott Miller, CTV News.
CTV News London has a newsletter helping you start your day with the latest local headlines. By signing up, you'll get local news content from CTV London direct to your inbox, including top stories, the forecast, and videos. You can sign up at ctvnewslondon.ca.
Well, lastly tonight, exercise and aging can pay off, and we have a local example to share with you that will boost your spirits this evening and perhaps get you moving even this late. Here's our Lauren Stallone.
Barbara Clark is 101 years old.
I've always been active. That's the secret.
When she's not gardening or playing the piano, Clark is here, exercising.
I think everybody should take exercises. I started a long time ago.
Clark says she played golf to keep fit in her earlier years. Her last game nearly a decade ago when she was 92.
It wasn't a very stellar game, believe me.
Now she's traded in her golf clubs for dumbbells and trains with other dedicated seniors twice a week at Chartwell Dorchester Terrace.
It gives them the ability to be more independent and to move and to have less assistance. They really notice a big difference here. They've all increased their weights.
The classes include a warm-up, strength training, balance exercises, and stretching.
It involves everything. I don't miss a muscle group.
Experts say strength training can improve balance, independence, and brain health for older patients.
Weightlifting can improve cognition, including executive function, which refers to our ability to think, plan, make decisions, our memory, and our attention. And this is true in healthy, preclinical and clinical older adult populations. And so sort of keeping sharp as we age is really important.
And for anyone who says they are too busy to exercise.
What do I say to them? Oh, I wouldn't like to tell you.
So Clark left me no option but to join in. And it turns out keeping up with a 101-year-old is harder than it looks.
It keeps me young.
Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
Good of her to keep that spirit indeed. Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight. It was great to be with you. From all of us at CTV London and including the crew behind me here, I'm Sean Irvine. Have a great night.